Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nurfatin Hanani binti Aznur from class AS229-2A. So today I would like to present about the requirements of management system between the ISO standards of ISO 14001, 9001 and 45001. Okay, first and foremost, for the introduction for ISO 14001, 2015 is about the internationally agreed standard that set out requirements for environmental management system. Next, the ISO 9001, 2015, the standard provide guidance and tools for companies and organizations that want to ensure the product and services consistently meet the customer requirement and that quality is consistently improved. For ISO 45001, where the Occupational Health and Safety published in March 2018. So the goals is for reduce the occupational injuries and disease, include the promote and protect the physical, mental and health. Okay, clause 4, context of organization between the ISO 40001 and 45001. So what can we understand between this ISO standard? So for 14001, the issue refer to both internal and external characteristics that can impact organization management system that influence the outcomes positively or negatively. For 901, the organization must carefully define internal and external factors, establish the context, and manage the risk to ensure alignment with the objective and goal. For 4501, the organization must identify all pertinent internal and external factors, such as the condition, characteristic, or involve the situation that could impact its management system. What about understand the needs and expectation of interested parties for ISO 1401? It means these subclause mandates identify the relevant stakeholders for EMS. Once a requirement desire of stakeholder identified, the organization must decide which one to prioritize and address. For ISO 901 and 4501, is to understand the needs and expectation workers and other interested parties. When there is no obligation in section for organization to consider stakeholder, there is has deemed irrelevant to its quality management system. For 4501, the organization should actively solicit input for employees regarding health and safety issues related to work activities, products and service. So it should also through investigate queries, request complaints or suggest from employees to better understand their expectation. Then 4.3, determine the scope of environmental management system. For ISO 1401, the scope of EMS must encompass all organization activities, products and services. So the scope should be documented and accessible to relevant stakeholders. For 901, to determine the scope of quality management system, where it should align with organization product and how they are made, outcomes of risk assessment, commercial factor and contract, statutory and regulatory obligation. And for 4501, to determine the scope of occupational safety and health management system. So the standard mandate that the scope of OHS may need to expand to encompass how needs of relevant group mentioned earlier can be met within framework or deliver product and services. Next, we have 4.4, environmental management system, quality management system and OSH management system. The organization is required to establish, implement, maintain, and continuously improve EMS. So the system should address its process and interaction in alignment with international standards to achieve its standard goal of enhance the environmental performance. For QMS, the organization must establish, implement, maintain, and continuously improve its quality management system. as specified in the standard. So this involves identify the necessary process and ensure their application across the organization. As for OSH, the organization is required to establish, implement, maintain, and continually improve the OHS management system to ensure necessary process and the interaction outline is documented. Clause 5. Leadership. Leadership for 1401 is about top management. Bear the responsibility to ensure efficiency EMS and integrate the environmental concern into fundamental business operation. For ISO 901 General, top management must exhibit their leadership and dedication to QMS. Then, for customer focus, the organization must identify all risks and opportunities that could impact conformity of products and services. For 4501, top management must assume overall responsibility and accountability for prevent the work-related injuries and illness, provide safe and healthy workplace and activities, and ensure the establishment of OSH policies and related objectives. 5.2 Environmental Policy for ISO 1401. Environmental policy that's suitable for organization, purpose, and context. Taking into account nature, scale, and environmental impacts, activities within defined scope of EMS. For ISO 901 policy, establish the quality policy. So, it aligns with organization purpose and content while also support the strategic direction. For communicating quality policy, the quality policy must implement with organization but ensure the clear communication and understand throughout the organization. For OHS policy, the policy must demonstrate commitment to ensure safe and healthy working conditions to prevent work-related injuries and illness. ISO 1401 and 901 Organization roles, responsibility, and authorities. So, responsibility and authorities for relevant roles are assigned to ensure that EMS comply with requirement ISO standard. Then, for 901, assign authority and responsibility to ensure that system meet requirement ISO standard, verify that process achieve the intended outcome, and report system performance to top management. 4.3 Organization role, responsibility, accountabilities, and authorities. For ISO 4501, it's about relevant role within the OHS management system that assigned, communicated all organization level and documented for maintenance. Clause 6 Planning. 6.1 Actions to address risks and opportunities. For general, ISO 1401, the organization must identify potential emergency situations, include those that could impact the environment with scope of EMS. For ISO 901, general is the same. ISO 4501, in general, during planning process, organization must identify and evaluate their hazard risk opportunities that pertinent to intent outcome of OSH management system. For plan change, whether permanent or temporary, this assessment must conduct before implement the change organization. So it's required to keep documented information regarding risks and opportunities. So the similarity of this ISO, the organization must establish, implement, and maintain the process to fulfill requirement from 6.1.1 to 6.1.4, taking into account issue outline in 4.1. Requirement in 4.2 and the scope of its environmental management system. So it should identify the risks and opportunities associated with environmental aspect. When planning the QMS, it must consider the issue and requirements in 4.1 and 4.3. The determination of risks and opportunities should aim to ensure that EMS achieve its intended outcome, enhance positive impacts, prevent and minimize negative impacts, and facilitate continual improvement. For ISO 1401, environmental aspects, where the organization should assess to adjust parameters, such as upcoming development, change activity, product and service. Then address abnormal situation and foreseeable emergency.
identify the environmental aspect that may have significant impact using defined criteria, sharing significant environmental aspect with organization as needed, documenting environmental aspect, and criteria to identify the significant aspect. For simplify, per plan certainly, for simply plan, first step to manage risk and seize opportunities is to develop plan to incorporate and execute action with QMS process. Assess the action success. So the action should commensurate with impact on product and service conformity. Next, we have hazard identification and assessment of risk and opportunities, where the organization must establish, implement, and maintain process to identify the hazard, considering among other factors like organization structure and social aspect, such as workload, hours, leadership culture, and interpersonal dynamic. Both regular and irregular activities, previous incident relevant to organization. Personal include those assess the workplace and activities, potential emergency scenarios, then various issues like workplace design, process, and installation. Then changes in organization, operation, process, and activities. Then updates in knowledge and information regarding hazards. For 1401, we can know the hazard identification and assessment of risk and opportunities. Can evaluate OSH risk associated with identified hazard to take into account adequacy of current control. And also can identify and evaluate additional risks associated with establish, implement, operating, and maintain the OSH management system. Then, we have compliance obligations. Is for identify and ensure the awareness of regulatory requirement concern the environmental aspect. Also understand the applicability regulatory requirement to organization. Then consider the regulatory requirement when develop, implement, maintain, and enhance the EMS. Then, for determination of legal, identify and maintain assess current legal and other applicable requirement that relevant to OSH, hazard risk and management system. Then we can assess how this legal and other requirement that relevant to organization and determine the communication needs. Also incorporate this legal and other requirement into development to improve the OSH management system. Then we have planning action. So implement measure is to manage the environmental aspect with significant impacts, regulatory compliance obligation, and preparedness and respond to emergency situation. Planning action for 4501, step to taken is to manage these risks and opportunities, fulfill legal and other requirements, and plan for handle emergency situation. For 901, it doesn't have the action, risks and opportunities. Overall similarity, except the 901, to describe this step is to integrate and implement this action within OSH management system, process or other organizational process, and evaluate the impact and effectiveness of this action. For 6.2, environmental objective and planning to achieve them. Environmental objective between 1401 and 901, the organization will define quality objective across relevant function, level, and process essential for QMS. So this objective must maintain the consistency and measurability, consider applicable requirement, align the product and service conformity, and be subject to monitor, communicate, and update if necessary. Planning action to achieve environmental objective, we can specify the action to be taken, accountable personnel, necessary resource, timeline for completion, and method for evaluate the result and accomplishment. Then, OHS objective for 4501, align with OHS policy, the organization objective must measure to evaluate that consider applicable requirement, risk, opportunities, and feedback from workers. Then effective monitor, communicate, and timely update are essential practice for engaged workers in this process. Planning to achieve OHS objective, similar to previous two, but additionally detail how action to achieve OHS objective will be seamlessly integrated into organization operational workflows.
Cloud 7 is support
For 7.1 is resources. The three of it is quite similar, which is the organization provide assistance and resources for the ongoing improvement for all of three. For 7.2 is competent, which is first is the organization must determine the required competence of any person performing work under its control that has an impact on the performance for each of three. The second one is documentation of information is required. For 7.3, which is awareness, for differences, which is ISO 45001 2018, they have aware of relevant hazard, risk, and action, while ISO 9001 and 14001 does not. For similarity between the three is they are aware of their contribution to the efficiency of the quality management system as well as the advantage of better performance. For 7.4, which is communication. In this part, only ISO 9001 2015 has, which is the internal and external communications related to the quality management system must be determined. For Cut 7.5, which is documented information, for 7.5.1 general, they have similarity, which is the organization quality management system must include 1 is information must be documented, 2 documented information considered necessary by the organization. For 0.5.2, creating and updating also having similarity of three of it. Sure and sure appropriate 1. Identification and description. 2. Format. And 3. Review and approve sustainability and adequacy. For 0.5.3, control and documented information. This part is only ISO 14001 and 45001 have similarity, which is should be controlled to ensure 1. It is available and suitable for use where and when it is needed. 2. Adequately protect should address following activities as applicable, distribution, access, retrieval, and use. 3. Storage and preservation, including preservation of legibility. 4. Control of changes. And 5. Retention and disposition. For class 8 is operational. For 8.1, operational planning and control. For ISO 14001 2015, establish, implement, control, and maintain the process needed to meet the environmental management system requirement and to implement action identified in 6.1 and 6.2. Second is control planning changes and review consequences of unintended changes, taking action to mitigate any adverse effect. For ISO 9001 2015, short plan, implement, and control the process Cloud 4.4 needed to meet the requirements for the provision of product and service. The plan change must be controlled and action is taken to mitigate the effect of unintended consequences of change. For ISO 45001 2018, it met the requirements of the OH&S management system and the implemented action determined in Cloud 6. Any requirement for risk assessment operational control should be determined in form of timely and required fashion, and the actions and output from this function are undertaken in the correct manner to ensure your system needs the improvement it needed. 8.2 is emergency preparedness and response. For ISO 14001, respond to pre-planning action to prevent adverse environmental impact from the crisis situation. And second is evaluate its risk and should carry out testing of its procedure. For ISO 9001 doesn't have, and ISO 45001 2018, which is estimate a planned response to emergency situation including the provision of first aid. And for second one is plan the unexpected event identification of hazard, highlight the potential emergency with possible consequences. 3 of ISO are focusing on improvement the sustainability, adequacy, and effectiveness in management system in their own selection in order to certify with ISO standards. It is ongoing process that entails preparation, performance, supervision, and problem solving. The second one is the improvement is generally predicated on the idea that few continuing and well-calculated modification can result in significant advancement over time. For Cloud 9 is performance evaluation. For 9.1 is monitoring, measurement, analysis, and evaluation. For 9.1.1 is general. For ISO 14009, which is monitor, measure, analysis, and evaluate its environmental performance. Return appropriate documented information as evidence of the monitoring, measurement, analysis, and evaluation results. For ISO 9001, which is evaluate the performance and the effectiveness of the quality management system, and retain documented information as evidence. And for ISO 45001, which is establish, implement, and maintain processes for monitoring, measuring, analysis, and performance evaluation. Retain documented information as evidence of the result of monitoring, measurement, analysis and performance evaluation, and on to maintain calibration or verification of measuring equipment. 9.2 Internal Audit. For 9.2.1 is general. 3 of it has a similar general, which is conduct internal audit at planned intervals to provide information of 3 of it. For 9.2.2 is internal audit programmer, which is ISO 14001 and ISO 9001 has a similar, which is define the audit criteria and scope for each audit, and 3 of it has a similar in ensure that the result of the audit are reported to relevant management. For class 10 is improvement. 10.1 which is general. The difference between 3 of it is for ISO 14001, organization should determine opportunities for improvement and implement necessary action to achieve the intended outcomes of the environmental management system. Second, for ISO 9001, organization should determine and select opportunities for improvement that will enhance customer satisfaction, which include improving product and service, correcting undesired effects, and improving the performance of quality management system. And lastly, ISO 45001 actively seek out where possible released opportunities for improvement that will facilitate the achievement of intended outcomes of the OH&S management system. For 10.2 non-conformity and corrective action. First one is ISO 14001 and ISO 9001 has similarity. When a non-conformity occurs, including any arising from complaints, the organization should 1. Take action to control and correct it. 2. Deal with the consequences. 3. Evaluate the need for action to eliminate the causes of the non-conformity by reviewing and analyzing the non-conformity to determine the causes of it. 4. Implement any action needed and review the effectiveness of any corrective action taken. And 5. The organization should retain documented information as evidence of the nature of the non-conformities and any subsequent action taken and result of any corrective action. For second is on difference between 2 of them. For ISO 14001 is changes of environmental management system is made if necessary, while ISO 9001 is corrective action should be appropriate to the effects of the non-conformities encountered. ISO 45001 Incident, Non-conformity and Corrective Action. When an incident or a non-conformity occurs, the organization should first react in a timely manner to the incident or non-conformity to correct it, and then with consequence. To eliminate the root cause of non-conformity to ensure that it does not recur or occur elsewhere. And third, record it and report internally. Lastly, which is 10.3, continually improvement. For ISO 14001, first, organization should improve the suitability, adequacy, and effective of the environmental management system to enhance environmental performance. For ISO 9001, organization should improve the sustainability, adequacy, and effectiveness of the quality management system. The organization must consider the result of analysis and evaluation and the outputs from management review to determine if there are any needs or opportunities that must be addressed as part of continual improvement. And for ISO 45001, organizations should improve the sustainability, adequacy, and effectiveness of the OH&S management system by promote the participation of workers in implementing action for the continual improvement of the OH&S management system. 2 is communicate the relevant result of the continual improvement to workers and where there exists workers representative. And 3 is maintaining and retaining documented information as evidence of continual improvement. In summary, ISO 9001 focus on quality, ISO 14001 on environmental impact, and ISO 45001 on health and safety. To create more effective and efficient management system, consider integrating these three ISO. ISO standards have significantly improved various sectors by enhancing efficiency, mitigating risk, and promoting quality management and environmental responsibility. Their widespread adoption across industries, including aviation, construction, and manufacturing, has positively impacted organizational growth. Thank you for watching.